Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm extremely sorry for logging in late. To be honest, I totally forgot that there was a class today because of these winter holidays. I am extremely sorry for that, and inshallah, we hope to continue from next week. Starting off with our study circle today, the Quranic verse that we're going to discuss, famous Ayatul Kursi verse, which actually introduces the person of God. And it is verse 255 of Surah Baqarah. It says, Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayyul qayyum, la ta'khuzuhu sinatun wa la nawm, lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard, man zal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi iznih, ya'lamu ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum, la yuhituna bi shay'in min ilmihi illa bima sha'a. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. God, there is no deity but He, the living, the sustainer. Neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. All that is in the heavens and the earth belongs to Him. Who can intercede with Him for someone except by His permission? He knows what lies before Him and what is after them. He knows what lies before them and what is after them. And without His will, they cannot grasp any part of His knowledge. His dominion prevails, and they protect Him. And He is the exalted, the great one. A simple reading, viewers, of this verse tells how effectively and how it introduces us to the person of God. Phrase by phrase, clause by clause, you can see that the way the Almighty is introduced to us, the first thing that we are told is that He is the living and the sustainer. And the word Qayyum actually means that not only is He Himself is living, but He actually is the reason that other beings are living. So He's the means of keeping others alive as well. And that is how we explain this. And then again it is said, La ta'khuzuhu sinatun wa la nawm, neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. This sleep is, of course, a human weakness. And because it's a human weakness, therefore, it is something which God does not have. And what this verse actually tells us is that even the Supreme Being who is watching over us, if there is a chance that 1 second or maybe a minute in which He is not attentive to His creation, then they will really run amok and they will create havoc. So this had to be told to human beings, that He is someone who is always attentive. Not a second, the tiniest part of a second is there in which people can make hay and He is not watching. So the reason that we are being told here is that His watchful eyes are always on us, and nothing stops His vision from seeing us. And then lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth belongs to Him. He is the creator. He has created them. There's a purpose. Man zal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi iznih. And who can intercede with Him for someone except by His own permission? And we know that the date in those times, the idolatry, this concept of intercession, in which they thought that their deities, especially the angels, who they would consider to be daughters of God, that they will intercede for them in the hereafter. They thought that in the first place there would be no hereafter, and if there is any hereafter, then these angels would intercede for them and make them reach salvation. يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. This, of course, is the expression of the all-embracing knowledge of the Almighty, that everything in the past and everything to Him. Nothing comes to Him as a surprise. He has complete knowledge, comprehensive knowledge. And they cannot grasp any part of His knowledge except if He gives that knowledge to Him. So there are so many things which God has revealed to us, but then it is out of His choice that He has given that knowledge to us. For example, there are so many discoveries which science makes, or which there are a lot of other things that we do. We make large strides in so many other subjects, but it is said that unless and until the Almighty allows this, we, of course, cannot do it ourselves. وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. His His sovereignty prevails on the heavens and the earth. There's no. So you see, just as this verse is a comprehensive statement of God's, it also is a comprehensive statement of God's monotheism, of the fact that He is one and only, and there is no one who is his rival, there's no one who is his peer, no one who can rival in any way. So His dominion prevails in the heavens and the earth. وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا, and He protects them. He is their guardian, and this protection does not fatigue Him. Again, fatigue is a sign of weakness. So this verse, in fact, is making this point that whether it's fatigue, whether it's sleep, all these weaknesses, they plague human beings, but they do not plague the Almighty in any way. وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ, He is the exalted, the great one. So this is the conception, the picture of God that we get in such a grand manner from this verse, and we need to realize that this is such a beautiful introduction of the Almighty, that if we pay heed to it, a lot of misbeliefs, a lot of beliefs that take us towards polytheism or to religious innovation will not arise in the first place. And that is why, viewers, you can clearly see that how diligent parents are in making their children learn this single verse. It's a longish verse, but a single verse, so that the conception of monotheism, which is the pillar, which is the founding pillar of divine religions, should always remain intact. Now we go on to the hadith of the day, and this has been taken from the Al-Jami' As-Sahih of Al-Bukhari, and the words are: An Nabi Sa'id Al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, inna nasa min al-ansar sa'alu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fa'atahum summa sa'aluhu fa'atahum hatta nafida ma indahu فقال ما يكون عندي من خير فلن أدخره عنكم ومن يستعفف يعفف الله ومن يستغني يغنيه الله ومن يتصبر يصبره الله ومن أعطي أحد أوسع من الصبر. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri reported that some people from the Ansar asked for charity from God's messenger, so he gave it to them. They again asked, and he again obliged until he was left with nothing. So he said, whatever is with me of wealth I do not withhold from you, and I gave all of it away to you. So he who wants to become chaste, God will make him chaste, and he who showed contentment, God will grant him wealth, and he who asks for patience from God, God will grant him patience, and no person can be given a better grant and a bigger grant than patience. So these are basically some treasured traits which we need to inculcate in ourselves, and it is here that the Prophet of God has said that patience, contentment, the fact that we are people who are something that should always come first. So although people asked that that they be given charity, the Prophet said that I did not withhold any charity that I have, but now you have to listen, and that is that if you want to remain chaste, modest in your dealings, then God will help you. If you want to remain contented, God will help you by actually giving you wealth, which is enough for your contentment. And finally, if you want to remain patient and steadfast, the Almighty will grant you the steadfastness. And there is no bigger and better a gift of God than the gift of patience. وَمَنْ أُعْطِيَ أَحَدٌ عَطَاءً خَيْرًا وَأَوْسَعَ فَمَا أُعْطِيَ أَحَدٌ عَطَاءً خَيْرًا وَأَوْسَعَ مِنَ الصَّبْرِ. The biggest treasure that we can have is the treasure of patience. And there is no doubt about it, our whole religion is based on two very important pillars. One is that of patience, and the other is that of gratitude. Patience in times of travail, and of comfort and luxury. So this hadith actually is an important eye-opener. It awakens us and tells us that if you want to show patience, ask this gift from God. Ask Him to grant you patience, and He will. And the biggest gift or a present that one can imagine is the gift of patience. And I think all of us would agree That patience is something which needs patience. It is something which gives us self-control, that self-discipline, which is actually the key to taqwa. You cannot be muttaqi, you cannot attain taqwa unless you are patient, unless you have that self-control, unless you take things in their proper context, unless you do not react immediately. You always think before you make a statement. You always think before you give a statement or give your reaction. And a person, especially who is in a leadership position, people who are in positions which make them leaders, for them especially, it is essential that they must hold on to this gift of patience. The Bible verse is from the Gospel of Matthew. It says, "Come to me, all you who are troubled and weighted down with care, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke on you and become like me. For I am gentle and without pride, and you will have to rest for your souls. For my yoke is good, and the weight I take up is not hard." I'm sorry I cannot speak a little more louder than this. I have an extremely bad throat. So you can see that these verses of the Gospel from St. Matthew, they tell us that the yoke of God, to be a person who is godly, to be a person who devotes himself to God, is the person who is going to be helped by God. The yoke of God actually protects us from all of the yokes. To be godly, we have to show ourselves as true devotees of the Almighty. And with these words, I will take leave. I'm once again very sorry that I logged in late this time. And because of my throat situation, I would not be able to handle questions today. Hopefully, inshallah, by next week, I'll have a better, I'll be in a better position to answer your questions. Until then, it is Khuda Hafiz.